Wait, this was all the Dark Continent prep arc? Has been for the past 30 plus years. Hunter x Hunter chapter 416, quick thoughts. You know, usually when people get sick, they go to the doctor, not start a violent militant massacre. This chapter is an entire Exhibit B of why Togashi had to take Balsamilko away from Benjamin. If he was here, he'd be saying something like, hey, I know this situation sounds bad, and yes, Furikov, you should have just talked to us, but Benjamin is cocking royalty. He's on a boat with a triple-star disease hunter and a highly skilled poison hunter who already have had several hours experience treating a patient with TSK-17. With Halkenberg, Cheadle and her team didn't know what they were dealing with. Also, they were ordered off the case halfway through. If Benjamin were to give her the remaining TSK samples and tell her what he knew about the disease, that would likely speed up her process immensely, especially as from TSK-17's introduction in chapter 402, the way Balsamilko talks about the bioweapon leads me to suspect its nature is either bacterial or fungal, probably bacterial, and not viral. Cheadle's Nen ability likely has something to do with treating illness, and I wouldn't be surprised if Gel's power was along the lines of analyzing poisons and potentially synthesizing compounds like antivenoms. The Hunter Association is here to maintain order and the health of the ship. If we tell them Benjamin is infected, the chances they could make some kind of cure is not 0.0%. Even though Ben seems to think TSK is an incurable death sentence, he's not a medical professional like Cheadle, and Nen is essentially superpowers. What are the chances the Zodiacs really won't be able to help at all whatsoever? Under martial law, Benjamin's word is basically law. He can put the Zodiacs under some sort of gag order if he's worried about the information of his infection getting out, but honestly, he probably wouldn't even need to do that anyways due to patient confidentiality. Even if treatment would only slow down the disease, extend Benjamin's time, an extra couple hours even is massive in this kind of situation. Worst case scenario where they can't find any solution at all in the limited amount of time Benjamin has left, at least they can give him some meds to alleviate his symptoms, some acetaminophen or Zofran or something. Benjamin doesn't have to raw dog having his body eaten from the inside out by a bioweapon. Painkillers and anti-nausea meds exist. He's not in the 1500s where bloodletting and saying tough it out was the best doctors could do. I don't know, I have a lot of faith in Cheadle. Hunting diseases is literally her entire deal, the entire basis of her career and how she earned 3 stars, which is the highest star ranking any hunter can achieve. And if Benjamin hadn't sabotaged her medical efforts in treating Halkenberg by taking the association medics off the case, there's honestly even a possibility she could have saved Halkenberg. But I guess that does lead me to the question, why don't the Marshmallow Men have a TSK antidote / resistance actually? It's very common for poison users to carry an antidote with them for this exact worst case scenario. By bringing a poison or a bioweapon into a fight, a situation which can turn on a dime, you never know what could happen. What if someone you love gets nicked by your poison knife? Wouldn't you want a backup just in case? I almost wonder if this is a bit of commentary from Togashi here. By introducing the TSK, this element of violence into the arc, into the situation, can Benjamin really complain if his actions are met in kind? Can this zealous patriot take what he decided to dish out to Halkenberg? The answer is definitely no, by the way, because what was this chapter? Saraynik, we're not blaming Ben for. There's no way Benjamin could know Saraynik went from 0 Nen awareness to King Crimson in a couple of days. That entire situation is bad on another level though, since if Saraynik fakes his death, in theory he could gain complete freedom to do whatever he wants on the ship whenever he wants. Saraynik in the vents is a terrifying idea. Camilla, on the other hand, what's the play here? I feel like I have to be missing something, because how does infecting Camilla with TSK-17 ensure she'll die before Benjamin, who was infected first? Perhaps there are factors to TSK we don't know about. Perhaps it acts faster in those with smaller physical frames like women. The way Benjamin talks about it sure makes it sound like the incubation time is the same across the board, but I think I'm just going to give him this one so we can move on. Maybe in women, TSK only takes 10 hours from symptom onset until death. Even so, 8 hours for a manipulator like Camilla? That's 8 entire hours for her to find some way to escape her fate, which is literally the sole power of her Nen ability, to escape death. At first I thought, okay, it's time for her guardian spirit beast to shine. It can manipulate someone into killing her or releasing her from the room so she can go and get someone to kill her, which would activate her Nen ability, and maybe that would clear her body of the TSK. But then I thought, would Camilla even need her guardian spirit beast to do that? This is Second Prince Camilla, the second highest ranking heir to the Kakin throne. She could probably just command a random maid to shoot her, even if Benjamin has her on lockdown with army guards watching the door. Just low-level guards, by the way, because there are no marshmallow men assigned to watch Camilla. Surely Camilla, her soldiers, or even her mother, Second Queen Dwazel, have contingency plans. Like, if we don't see Camilla post to her Keenstagram for 5 minutes, that's a sign she's in mortal danger, and we're gonna throw our entire manpower at this room to break her out. If her Nen ability works by Camilla's perception of ill intent, maybe she even has something like an emergency exit pill on her body that one of her soldiers prepared. If she sees the poison pill as prepared by Soldier X to kill her, even if she pops it herself weeks later, maybe Million Life Cat will still assign the blame to Soldier X and revive Camilla. It depends on how Million Life Cat works exactly, how it assigns blame, if it has a radius of effect, etc. But that's kind of my point. We don't know how it works, which means Benjamin does not know the specifics of Camilla's Nen ability either. And he doesn't know the power of her guardian spirit beast. So the fact any of these escape paths are possibilities is dangerous for him. Giving Camilla 8+ hours to escape death is not ideal. The chances of her getting someone to kill her before the TSK does is closer to 90% than 0%, especially as we know her guardian spirit beast is manipulative. There are a lot of ways Camilla can be dealt with. Just off the top of my head, squeezing her out a porthole of the ship Gogurt style, which would make the murderer the Lotus Anchorite, which is a non-living item with no life force, like strapping a bunch of lit TNT to a maid and sending her into the room to give Camilla a big hug. But this is not one of the ways to deal with her. I really thought Benjamin would be able to handle Cammy, but if this is the extent of what he can do to her, it's not going to be enough. Camilla knows her Nen ability better than he does, and it's entirely possible Million Life Cat erases status effects when triggered or something of the like. Furthermore, Camilla doesn't even necessarily have to escape her imprisonment or the TSK-17 to do some damage. If her manipulator type guardian spirit beast is something similar to Momose's, it can phase through walls to other rooms on the ship. It can manipulate people and soldiers into doing her bidding without Camilla ever leaving her room. If she actually is doomed to die by TSK in 10 hours, maybe that'll incentivize Camilla to finally start using that bedazzled brain of hers and make some actual spiteful plays in the Succession War. She can do some real damage before she goes out, and some of that damage could hinder Benjamin's plans. If infecting Camilla with TSK and leaving her to die was Benjamin's actual entire plan, he probably shouldn't have told her that he did so before leaving the room. And yes, Benjamin pretty much tells her it was he himself who infected her, not Furikov or Butch, who didn't step anywhere near Camilla's massage table in that scene. I don't know if that's Ben trying to be inflammatory or Ben shielding Furikov and Butch from Million Life Cat's blame just in case. Either way, he reveals he poisoned her, which gives Camilla a reason to finally potentially make some effort. And I don't know if Ben can really afford to have another player start acting in this situation. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe Benjamin does have some sort of genius plan after all that I'm just not seeing, but Benjamin said he'd handle Camilla and Cyrenik, and no matter how you cut it, from this chapter, I don't think he succeeded in pruning either diseased branch yet. This chapter has me very worried about how Benjamin's actions are going to affect the remainder of the arc, because he's clearly unable to think straight at this point in time, and it might get worse the further TSK-17 progresses, the longer martial law goes on for. All I want from him is a good final stand and for Ben to not drag Karapika into even hotter water with any desperation plays he's going to be making by the end. Anyways, want to revisit every word Beyond has ever said in the entire manga with me? And everything ever said about him? I suppose this is technically chapter 415 Thoughts Part 2, but to infinite lies and beyond. Don't worry, it's not as much as you'd think. Beyond only shows up in 2 volumes of the Dark Continent Preparation arc and 3 volumes of the Succession War arc so far, with volume 39 featuring his first spoken words in the current arc. This will still be a very long section, as I'll go over sentences and pick them apart, trying to suss out just what's true and what's lies. I will be reading a lot of quotes, but if I put the panels on screen for each one, as I usually do for quotes, Shueisha will turn yours truly into a flesh lamp, and becoming part of Cyrenik's collection isn't exactly on my list of aspirations, but I will state the chapter before each section to facilitate any further research on your part. We'll begin with Beyond's debut appearance in the manga. Volume 32, Chapter 340, Beyond appears on Kakin's public broadcast announcing their Dark Continent expedition. Beyond says, "My beloved father always used to say, when you stop challenging yourself, your life is over. Deciphering myths and exploring ruins, we learn where our ancient ancestors came from. No matter how many obstacles stand in the path to our goal, I promise I will remove them. Age, gender, nationality, employment, race, none of it matters. Everyone deserves an equal opportunity." This is our first mention of equality from Beyond's lips. "I will turn down no challenger. Anyone who wants to win this new land is my family." Who wouldn't want to be Beyond's family? Such a great privilege. "Each person will have a role to play. All you need is the courage to step forward. Come one, come all to Kakin. Let us go to the new world. I promise to take you there." How much of this speech is true? I think one major factor in deciphering Beyond is, unlike a compulsive liar who will lie for no reason, I see Beyond Netero as someone who lies with a purpose. Anytime he's spinning his smoke, as Furikov puts it, he's doing it for something. Or should I say more specifically, he's doing it for someone. He's putting on a performance for someone to achieve his own goals. This first speech is a fantastic example because it's his largest performance to date In this debut scene, Beyond is not only performing for the entire nation of Kakin, as he's the main event of Nasubi's Dark Continent announcement, but Beyond is also aiming to attract people from outside of Kakin, which could be the rest of the known world. He says, "Come one, come all to Kakin. Come to Kakin to be part of this." And on top of that, very, very importantly for our discussion later, he's also performing in this scene for the Zodiacs. And that's a big aspect of why he chooses to embody Chairman Isaac Netero so clearly on the big screen. They even precede his appearance with a picture of Chairman Netero. It could not be made more obvious that it's working as well. Not only do the Zodiacs say it out loud that Beyond speaks just like Netero, but the full reaction shots of everyone's faces as they watch him perform. Beans even says at the end of it, everyone, referring to the Zodiacs, is wavering. I don't blame them. Even I heard the chairman in his speech. The only blatant lie from this scene is I don't think Beyond considers Netero his beloved father, though there are some clear other bits of manipulation, such as Beyond uses conquistador / Western expansion type language, framing the Dark Continent as a new land waiting to be won, just because it's not under the powers of one of the V6 countries in the known world, when obviously the land of the Dark Continent is inhabited by species native to that landmass, likely intelligent species. In the same chapter, Beyond has his second appearance and thus second performance. This time, Beyond is performing for his expedition team, and Pariston included in that. An expedition team member says, over 100 million views on iTube in an hour, Kakin equivalent of YouTube. 100,000 phone lines can't keep up with the flood of applications, so very obviously this kind of announcement and Beyond's performance earlier was a success. Beyond says, great, keep them talking. And then a team member informs them that the V5 told Nasubi to take this back. This is not only illegal, but also very dangerous. And in response to that, Beyond says, tell him to ignore it. They've been asleep for centuries. What do you need to do to follow the V5 rules anyway? I see this question as a complete lie. Beyond likely knows the V5's legal rules for Dark Continent expeditions. He is shown later in the manga to be very knowledgeable about the V5 and about legal proceedings. He's even helmed a V5 approved expedition before. Truly, I don't think there's any world in which Beyond does not know the V5's official rules for Dark Continent expeditions. So the question is, why does he act like he doesn't know? And the answer comes immediately as a result of his question. Because Beyond asks and feigns ignorance, a member of his expedition team, Curly, the linguist, responds, you must send an application for passage to an agency operated by the V5. In order to apply, there are procedures to follow at each country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You'll be tied up for a month apiece by contracts and briefings. That's 5 months total. You'll need 3 letters of introductions from members of the applicant's Congress to see the section chief. You're still not guaranteed acceptance. And Beyond says, who cares? Stop your yammering. Curly says, but you asked, which is true and which is the point? Because Curly answered his leading question in a long-winded, boring-sounding, and tedious way, Beyond gets to say out loud where the entire team can hear him, they'd make me sit around for years waiting for permission to play by their little club's rules. Then, after dropping a fortune, I might get to accompany the expedition on a supervised sightseeing tour. This leads into Beyond's rallying speech to the entire expedition team. He says, I want to go where no one has gone before, meet people nobody has met, acquire things nobody has touched. I want to explore things without bounds in the great wide open, leaving my mark on virgin territory. I won't turn down anyone who joins or chase after anyone who leaves, but I'll crush anyone who tries to interfere. This last section, where Beyond lists all of his aspirations, I see as him appealing to the personal aspirations of each member of his expedition team directly. He says, I want to go where no one has gone before, echoing the sentiments of the members who joined to explore new places. He says, I want to meet people nobody has met, which appeals perhaps to social explorers like Curly, who is a linguist and would probably love to meet new peoples and document entirely new languages. Acquire things nobody has touched, hooking treasure hunters perhaps. I want to explore things without bounds in the great wide open. This sentence emphasizes the freedom his version of the expedition would give that the V5's approved restricted legal expedition would not give. And then he says, leaving my mark on virgin territory. This one, I think, might just be Mr. Abstinence Only Education himself. He also says, I won't turn down anyone who joins, and as we can see later, this is pretty much true, which allows Jing to join Beyond's expedition team. Moving on to volume 33, this is chapter 341. Since we're also looking into what other people have said about Beyond, I'm going to go over Netero's little speech about him first, talking about Beyond's first expedition to the Dark Continent. Netero says, for political reasons, the V5 avoided the Hunter Association and secretly sent their own research team. My son Beyond is, I think that's supposed to say was, one of the experts in charge of expedition decision making. Ignoring my warnings, he insisted on taking unexplored routes, which led to considerable casualties. He returned and brought back new threats. He wanted to try again, but I forbade it until after my death, and I made it taboo for the Hunter Association as well. I've set foot there just twice when I was young, but the strength required was not what I sought. I needed an opponent. I sought strength as an individual, with either victory or defeat as the outcome. But in the New World, it was a harsh battle against Mother Nature where no victor exists. The strength my son desired was formidable and essential to exploring there. If anything, he's probably more suited to being a hunter than I. Going from the top, this snippet of Beyond's past Dark Continent exploration definitely characterizes him in a certain way. So not only did he helm a V5 sanctioned expedition, but he recklessly took uncharted routes against his own dad's advice, and that led to the expedition going sideways. 0 for 1 here, great track record to lead another expedition. Definitely trust him so much. The last sentiment of this scene, by the way, is terrifying. What do you mean Beyond is more suited to being a hunter than Isaac Netero? I'm still considering what is being implied here about Beyond's powers and what he wants from a battle. But for now, I'll leave it as, if Beyond is a manipulator, perhaps unlike Netero, he's not seeking strength as an individual, which is part of why he's bringing so many people this time around. Let me think about this one a little more. Beyond's third appearance, though, is in this same chapter where he aura farms by showing up to Hunter Association HQ, which is essentially walking into the police station and turning himself in. He says, yo, been a while beans, which yes is a manipulation tactic. By lumping Beans in with himself in this situation, he's making it so he's not alone in the room. That's kind of a tactic commonly used by bullies. Beyond says, those guys must be the Zodiacs. Can you contact the V5, say that you caught Beyond Netero? Let's call it a quid pro quo, shall we? The implication Beyond barely knew who the Zodiacs were is definitely a lie. No, he for sure knew who the Zodiacs were. He probably even did research on them as individuals before coming into this room. The Zodiacs are the governing body in power of the Hunter Association, which is very clearly shown in the next chapter to be factored into Beyond's Dark Continent expedition plans. Of course he knows who the Zodiacs are. Chapter 342. After being taken into custody, Beyond tests his singular handcuff that locks him to the wall, and he just kind of smiles, and you can tell he just knows that this is completely and utterly inadequate to keep him chained up. If he wants to leave, he can just walk out of the room. Beyond says, "Now then, you can do what you want with me, but I predict that I will be released and you will go to the Dark Continent with me." Cheadle, who is the leader of the Zodiac, says, "Impossible, you'll be in prison for a long time for inciting a riot. You are delusional." And Beyond says, in response to this, "Well, that would be the correct answer, but the real world isn't like that. You still have time to hear me out before you report to the V5. Either Beyond is fantastic at reading people, or he did research on the Zodiacs, maybe even watched their election arc speeches on video. I'd say it's probably both, because he immediately clocks and chastises Cheadle for her number one flaw, which is that she plays it by the book, which makes her ideals very ideal and her actions very predictable. Which is why he says, what you said would be correct in a textbook if you were in high school, but this is the real world, baby girl, get with the program, which is master at Nen, more like master at rage baiting. Cheadle tells him the conversation will be recorded, asks if that's okay with him. Beyond says, no problem, as if you could publicize it. Cheadle thinks, he looks just like him, Netero. Just facing him makes me waver. What does he want? The only thing I know right now is that we're being attacked. So good, so good. Beyond is the one who's chained up, locked in a jail cell, being interrogated, yet Cheadle, who is supposed to have the power in this situation, feels like the Zodiacs are being attacked just by this man opening his mouth. Beyond stocks are only traded on the black market, but yes, they are up. Beyond says, I'll first tell you about the V5's official policy and the true meaning behind those words so you can brace yourself for the truth. Then the manga cuts to the V5 conference scene and it's implied. Beyond tells the Zodiacs basically everything being discussed there. So yeah, Beyond knows the V5's official policies. He just gave an entire teaching speech about them. There's no possible way he does not know the V5's official policies. Beyond says, we insisted on an unlimited open door policy to clarify the choice, or else the V5 would never get off their behinds. If we blindly followed protocol, the plan itself would have been crushed. Cheadle says, if civilian immigrant safety isn't included in their job, it doesn't seem very high risk to her because, again, the V5's official plan is to drop off the normies, the civilians, before actually heading on to the Dark Continent. Beyond says, because you disregard your own safety, that's brave, but I question your leadership. This means that when you run away, you can't use protecting civilians as your excuse. And Sacho kind of clarifies what's going on in this scene. It basically means that Beyond got a ticket to the Dark Continent in exchange for making Kakin's king into a historic hero. But the V5 doesn't like to lose, so it's going to maintain its dignity by making the Hunter Association babysit Beyond and make sure that he doesn't get up to any shenanigans while on board, and after landing on the Dark Continent as well. Gel says, very high risk, high return. If we fail, we'll lose the trust of one of our best customers, referring to the V5. So essentially, the Zodiacs have very little choice but to accept this job. They're kind of backed into a corner because they're being commissioned by the V5, who are a massive source of jobs and money for the Hunter Association. They pretty much have to say yes and succeed in the job as well. There's a lot of political pressure behind this entire situation. Beyond says, just trust me and contact the V5. They'll say, tell Beyond they'd accept a supervised voyage and that chaperone will be the Hunter Association if the V5 trusts you. Cheadle says, yes, this is a battle and the entire association will have to fight. Yes, if this is true, we shall accept, but first, there are many things we'll have to confirm. Beyond agrees, fine, take my blood, anything. Cheadle thinks he expected to be challenged as a fraud. I know he's the real deal. This line always gives me pause because how did Cheadle know without a blood test that Beyond is Netero's biological son? Is this implying that she smelled him because she's a dog zodiac? She thinks Beyond's using the Hunter Association as a stepping stone to get to the Dark Continent, which is true, and she tells Mizai Stom to contact the V5. Cheadle thinks, we were forced into this. It was underhanded, but the quickest way to the Dark Continent, which is very interesting because yes, the Zodiacs were pressured into this, but it also means they don't have to go through the paperwork process themselves. If they go on the Black Whale with Beyond, as he proposes, it's essentially an all expenses paid ride to fulfill Chairman Netero's will. So there is a personal gain component to it for the Zodiacs. It is, as Beyond says, quid pro quo. Cheadle thinks we're going to an evil place with a sly foe who won't hesitate to cheat. I think this is the only time in the series that we've heard Beyond be called someone who won't hesitate to cheat. And that is a very scary descriptor because if Cheadle is right, that means he could try to pull some kind of cheating type thing in the Succession War arc. Cheadle thinks we can't afford to lose, so they'll be going to the Dark Continent with Beyond. Amusingly, after she announces this, Ginta, which is the sheep zodiac, says, I sure hope we hit it off with Beyond during the trip and have a fun adventure together. And Cluck, the rooster zodiac, says, Ginta, you optimist, dream on. Sacho offers to watch Beyond in his cell, and this is kind of an interesting detail because it means he potentially has some exposure to Beyond before the voyage even started, due to the fact he watched him for about 2 months. Cheadle says to Beyond, you should also be prepared, it will be a long imprisonment, as preparations are made. Beyond says, a long time, eh? And the next 2 lines are the only internal thoughts we've gotten from Beyond in the entire manga so far. He thinks, I'll wait as long as it takes. And yes, a couple months is nothing compared to 30 plus years. I think this characterizes him as very patient, which is just another descriptor that makes him even more dangerous. Chapter 344 brings us a little bit more about Beyond's past exploration. Jing talks about it when he says, Beyond accompanied Kukanyu Kingdom's team and succeeded in bringing back the alchemy plant Metallion, but by going off route, they caught the worst disease. Only 6 returned, including the hunter infected with Zobe. The plant died. Netero was troubled that the story of his son's travels, which was supposed to serve as a warning, had instead inspired others, leading to more casualties. It was Beyond's trip that drove Netero to convince the V5 to make travel to the Dark Continent taboo for the association. So basically Beyond's first trip might have been very nearly an entire failure on every level. They didn't manage to bring back a boon, and they brought back Zobe disease, which is wild. Do you ever lay awake at night and just think about how Beyond might have some T-virus on him or something right now still? I'll only accept that plot point if he infects Saraynik with it. We're gonna turn this arc into RE44 Return to Dark Continent City. Chapter 345 is the scene where Cheadle hands Beyond the contract after the V5 agreed to everything and wrote one out. She says, read this. Beyond laughs, heh, exactly like I said, right? In response, Cheadle says, perhaps, but as you can see, you will not be released. This is Cheadle taking what Beyond said earlier very literally. Beyond predicted that he would be released and the Zodiacs would go with him on the voyage. Cheadle's saying only one of those things came true, so he's 50% wrong. But importantly, Beyond never said what order those two things would happen in. So if he's released later on the boat, his prediction skills would still be 2 for 2. He would not be 50% correct, he would be 100% correct. Cheadle says, your actions will be considerably restricted. You'll stay in a room under 24-hour watch, which yeah, sounds completely reasonable. But then she adds, chaperones will accompany you on outings. What outings? Isn't he in jail? Your whereabouts will be monitored by an anklet with a tracking device. Any communication with anyone will be managed and monitored. Which sounds less like prison time and more like parole. Why are they letting him out at all? I guess this really just emphasizes how powerless completely and utterly the Zodiacs are to stop him, but come on, really? As we can see in chapter 415, at some point between this scene and boarding the ship, when Beyond's talking to Furikov, he's supposed to be in jail under Zodiac watch, but just how nice are these Kakin VVIP cells? He has like a view of the entire city skyline. Beyond is having his calls monitored, it sounds like, and monitored by Kakin, not the Hunter Association. Otherwise the Zodiacs would know about the Succession War, the Seed Urn Ceremony, and Curse Babies, because Furikov and Beyond talked about those during the call, but the phone line monitoring might just be the extent of his imprisonment. That's kind of wild. Beyond reads the agreement, which says, do not resist the association during the journey. Anything found through my actions will belong to the V6, and any disclosure of information in any medium is forbidden. And he says, I see, well, all reasonable demands, I don't object. Notably, Beyond says, all reasonable demands, not I think they are reasonable demands. And he says, I don't object, but that's not the same thing as saying I will follow all these demands. If this is not a NEN contract, which I don't think it is, it's just a legal agreement. It's just a sheet of paper, and if things completely fall apart on the ship, or once the ship reaches the Dark Continent, there is literally nothing enforcing this paperwork. Cheadle asks him to sign it, and Beyond does, saying, now you've gained permission, only 3 things remain: qualifications, the means, a contract. This is actually one of my favorite little puzzles of the Dark Continent prep arc. What exactly do these 4 things Jing first brought up in chapter 339 refer to exactly? The first is relatively easy. Beyond says, we've just achieved permission, and it likely refers to permission from the V5 to travel to the Dark Continent in the first place with this new V5 plus Kakin equals V6 alliance agreement they've formed after the Zodiac's negotiation with Beyond. The next 2 are a little more vague. Interestingly, when Jing lists them, he says, in chapter 339, we'll need a lot of things to get there, to the Dark Continent, at least 4 just to get started. Permission, the means, qualifications, a contract. But when Beyond lists them, he switches the order of the middle 2. He says permission, qualifications, the means, a contract, implying qualifications will come before the means. I used to hypothesize qualifications referred to the Hunter exam because of Beyond's order and because the words qualifications are overlaid on an image of the Zodiacs in 345, but that was always my weakest guess out of the 4, because does it really make sense that Jing would consider other hunters taking the Hunter exam as a prerequisite he doesn't have yet for the trip? For Beyond, this would make sense because the Hunter exam and recruiting the provisional hunters and extra personnel for the voyage are part of Kakin's and his voyage plans, but it doesn't really work for Jing. Now that we know that Beyond isn't the most trustworthy, even little inconsistencies like this give me pause. If we go with Jing's order, qualifications would come after the means, which gives us more room and more time for qualifications to actually refer to a new plot point. The means I have always interpreted to mean the black whale, as in the boat is the means by which the explorers will make it across the ocean to the Dark Continent. Notably, the word the means is overlaid over an image of Saraidnik, who is a prince of the Kakin Empire, and a ticket on that Kakin sponsored ship is how Beyond and Jing get access to this means of seafaring. If qualifications does indeed come after the ship, sometime perhaps into the voyage or before the ship can pass the sea barrier, something along those lines, it's possible we don't have the clues necessary to guess it quite yet. The last, a contract, I interpret to mean a contract negotiated with the gatekeeper at the entrance to the Dark Continent for a guide, which is perhaps why the words a contract is overlaid on top of an image of Jing and Curly, the expedition team's linguist, talking. Perhaps the gatekeeper speaks a language not from the known world, and they'll need linguistic talents like Curly and Jing to communicate. I have some interesting ideas about the gatekeepers, but we'll save that for another day. We've still got 3 entire volumes of Beyond Yap to get through. Chapter 349 is our next Beyond scene. This is the scene where Mizaistam kind of tries to intimidate him in the cafeteria after the seed urn ceremony takes place. Mizaistam says, King Nasabi petitioned directly to the V5 for you to attend the Eve Festival and the departure ceremony, which, yes, this implies those are 2 different things. It would pain him to omit the man he owes greatly in this historical event. Tell me who's on your side among the Zodiacs, then I will permit you to attend the ceremony. Beyond says, you are mistaken on 2 accounts. I don't know of any spy, and I care even less about ceremonies. If Beyond is a manipulator, he could definitely manipulate his knowledge of the Zodiac spy. In this case, though, we'll go with the simplest explanation. I believe this one. I don't think Beyond knows there's a specific Zodiac spy in the scene, though that doesn't mean he wasn't actively trying to sway Zodiacs to his side. He probably knows it's likely there may be one eventually, but he didn't know that there was already one, and he didn't know it was Sayu specifically. The ceremonies point, we don't know enough about Beyond's character to make a judgment on that one. I don't think. Maybe he does enjoy getting hyped up by an audience. I'm not sure. I'm not going to make that call yet. But I guess the statement is already only half true, because even if he doesn't care about public ceremonies, he did care about the seed urn ceremony. So if it's something important like a Nen ceremony, then he would care about it. Beyond says, I eat and sleep here for a month, then board a boat, spend 2 months there, and arrive at the proverbial new continent. I'll behave until then for Nasubi's sake. What I'm interested in is what lies beyond. The I'll behave until then part can definitely be viewed as a lie of some sort, unless his definition of behave is so loose it encompasses threatening to detonate cursed babies and sabotage the succession war. This sentiment can also be read as I'll behave until then, but the definition of behaving Beyond is using means he'll behave in accordance to Nasubi's wishes, because he says I'll behave until then for Nasubi's sake. And since we know Nasubi is kind of up to no good, this could be a very dangerous statement to misinterpret. The second sentence, the I'm interested in what lies beyond part, is also half a lie, because he is also interested in what happens on the ship. Very clearly, if 30 years of living landmine creation is any indication. Beyond says, I'd like to decline all annoying ceremonies, but to the public, I'm still a hero and pioneer of the new world. Honor is important in Kakin, and if they pressure the V5 and in turn you, their dogs, you'll be begging me to attend. Honor is important in Kakin culture, huh? That's something that I'll note down for sure. Kurapika, who was dousing the conversation, says pass. Beyond is telling the truth. Mizaisam says he doesn't know about Sayu, which is correct, but then he extrapolates. This means Pariston is the mastermind, conspired with Sayu, and is plotting to take Beyond back. Definitely an assumption from just the fact Beyond didn't know Sayu was on his side when he was asked. Kurapika goes on to say he's serious about what he says, which is the truth, but then he says you can leave him alone until we get to the island, which is just the wrong takeaway from that truth. No, we can't leave Beyond alone. Kurapika specifically now knows he's masterminding the curse babies and is keen to talk to him. They can't leave him alone because he could detonate the curse and kill Wobble or Phobal or whoever is cursed. I think this particular interaction emphasizes just how dangerous it is to jump to conclusions based on sentiments verified by dowsing chain and other lie detecting abilities alone. In addition to all the other ways to circumvent lie detectors, simply cleverly wording certain phrases will do the job. Beyond avoids tripping the lie detector in this conversation while being completely up to no good. He says he'll behave until they land on the Dark Continent, and Dowsing Chain considers that the truth because when Beyond says behave, he could be referring to any definition of the word of his own creation. If he's simply referring to not trying to escape until the ship lands, then he can detonate as many bomb babies as he wants, and that's still behaving by the definition that he set. And if he's so sure of himself it doesn't register as deception, it won't trigger the detector because both Dowsing Chain and Melody's heartbeat hearing only evaluate whether the person themselves believes what they're saying is the truth. Put a pin in that, we'll get back to it a little later. Volume 34. This volume is the beginning of the Succession War arc, and Beyond does not have any speaking lines in this volume, though he does have 2 appearances. First, chapter 358, Eve. Beyond is indeed on stage for Kakin's public Eve festivities, so he was right about that. Chapter 359, Departure, but notably, he is in his cell on Tier 1 by the time the boat leaves port, meaning Beyond did not attend the party in the Tier 1 ceremonial hall, the departure ceremony. RIP Prince Beyond theories. But notably, in chapter 359, Beyond has 3 Zodiac guards: Tiger, Monkey, and Horse. That's Kanzai, Sayu, and Sacho, watching his cell. Kanzai, the brain cell lacking one, says, "Do we need 3 people watching him? I think it's a waste of personnel." Sayu, the Zodiac trader, says, "You leave, take away the weak link, and we'll be better off." But Sacho thinks it would be good to have multiple Zodiacs on tiers 1 and 2 for emergencies. 3 is too many to babysit Beyond when he has no motive to escape for now. We'll suggest a rotation to Mizaistam so that one of us can go support the royal army. And by chapter 412, we see that Beyond now only has 2 guards, Sacho having left. Which, yes, is obviously bad, but this entire situation is so funny to me because you could have all 12 Zodiacs, every single person in this room, and they're not stopping Beyond from breaking out if he really wants to. Having Sacho, the one with actual gray matter in his cranium, being the one who leaves, though, is probably not a great thing. I'm sure we'll see that decision come back to bite the Zodiacs in the future. Moving on to volume 39, chapter 401, is Beyond's first speaking line in the Succession War arc. In this scene, he's in his cell with his luscious locks let down, speaking to, it looks like only Kanzai, the Tiger Zodiac. Maybe Sayu is off screen and in the room as well, but if he left to go use the bathroom or something, leaving only 1 Zodiac to guard Beyond, knowing that there might be times where Beyond only has 1 guard, and that guard could be Sayu. Anyways, Beyond asks, "Can you get me a new book?" Kanzai says, "There aren't any other books, read it again or write your own novel." Beyond says, "Good idea, get me a pen and paper," to which Kanzai replies, "No, for security reasons. You got your beard and your own blood," which has absolutely wild implications. Kanzai might be stupid, but at least he's funny. Beyond says, "For security reasons, if I wanted to, I could knock your head off with this book," which is probably true. Kanzai says, "Got it, super scared. Got any other requests? Don't hold back. Asking is free." To which Beyond responds, "Heh, you're a funny one. There's someone I'd like to talk to. Can you arrange a meeting?" Are the Zodiacs even trying to keep him contained at this point? Might as well just let him out if they're going to be this lax on his guard detail and let him meet whoever he wants. But I do believe that Beyond thinks Kanzai is mildly amusing, which yes, we will talk about shortly. We're gathering the theory scraps here in real time. Volume 40 gives us, in chapter 414, Bill's characterization of Beyond. He says, I know more about Beyond than you, so hear me out. He's capable, confident, and a man-child who loves strategy games. He'll take a challenge and won't refuse a game of cat and mouse. From this evaluation, I think we can accept capable and confident as Beyond descriptors. The man-child descriptor is tempting because it feels hopeful, like, oh, if he's a man-child, maybe we can trick him. But I think it's a bit dangerous to be misled by the idea Beyond is in any way naive or easy to fool like a child. It'd be safer to leave that one completely and just take what Bill means by it as the truth instead. Beyond loves strategy games and challenges. I think that part is true. Bill goes on to say he'll talk about the curse because it's essential to his plan. He wants to talk about it. This annoying confidence is rooted in his elaborate scheme. Which I do think Beyond might talk about the curse if asked, but his words so far have always been for a purpose. If Beyond tells Kurapika any curse baby information, it will be a play on his part, a challenge to an intellectual competition. And I don't know if it's worth it. I don't think Kurapika is ready to play another game in addition to everything else already on his plate. There's barely enough Kurapika to go around as is, and everyone, even Benjamin, seems to want a piece of him. Beyond's meeting request he made in the previous volume is paid off in chapter 412, where Beyond is in his cell with only 2 guards, Sayu and Kanzai, when who comes for visitation but the supreme magistrate of the highest Kakin court, Cleopatra. As a reminder, Beyond is a performer. In this scene, on top of any coded messages he might be exchanging, any intel he might be receiving, and rest assured he is receiving intel, I think Beyond is performing, and his audience is none other than his guards, specifically Kanzai. So Beyond says, hey, I've been waiting for you. Then he tells his guards, stay. I don't mind if they overhear the conversation. Which is so funny because he's talking as if he gets to decide that when he's the one in jail. He says, I have multiple lawsuits pending, you see. I'm just going over the results. I'm the plaintiff in all of them, by the way. He's definitely lying when he says he's only going over the lawsuit results. That's definitely not the main purpose of this conversation. Cleopatra talks about how the V5 is no longer going to be persecuting Beyond for going on national television and inciting the public to want to go to this dangerous place. Beyond says, well, all the charges all just got transferred to the clandestine contract with Kakin. That was expected. What I care about is the stuff I'm suing for. There were about 1,000 cases, right? Cleopatra says 1,047 to be exact. To cut to the chase, the Supreme Court deliberated on them collectively and they have all been dismissed. In response to this, Beyond raises his voice and he says, are you serious? All of them? Did you really look at them? That's just shoddy work. There is no universe in which Beyond is surprised at this, if he's known the Kakin judicial system and Cleopatra since birth. But by raising his voice here and getting Cleopatra angry enough to snap at him, it draws the Zodiac guards' attention to their conversation so he can deliver his next line and make sure it's heard. What Beyond wants the Zodiacs to hear is when he says, so Kakin has no plan to guarantee even the bare minimum of human rights for the general populace. Cleopatra says, respect for basic human rights is already stated in the Constitution. Beyond says, and I sued because it's not enforced. First of all, the definitions of human being and citizen need to be clearly defined. The royal family and the general populace combined are the people of Kakin. Until they add that sentence, you will never gain the trust of the general public. This and the following spiel by Cleopatra makes Beyond out to be the good guy, while setting Cleopatra up to represent a figurehead of the corrupt status quo of Kakin. This is just the curly play all over again. By bringing in Cleopatra, who is a stickler for rules and spews all this verbose law mumbo-jumbo, Beyond makes himself look more charismatic and benevolent in contrast, even if that's not necessarily true. It doesn't matter in the scene what he really thinks about these laws. It's just that he's setting himself up to look good and he's setting Cleopatra up to look bad. Beyond goes on to say, an executive decision would be quicker and more effective than a constitutional amendment. Let's see, I'm aware that cherry-picking features of both dictatorship and democracy is tricky. This statement is pretty interesting as it might indicate Beyond actually does want to take this microcosm of Kakin and shape it on the Dark Continent for real, if he actually is interested in some kind of legislative reform. Then Beyond reads one of the law documents passed to him and he seems to notice something in the book or think of something. This will probably be important in the future. He says, read it next. Sayu says, I'm just giving them to you randomly, referring to the books, and that is 100% a lie. Beyond says, that's fine, I'm just killing time until we land anyway. I don't care as long as I can read printed text, which also has the spirit of a lie because we know killing time for Beyond doesn't mean sitting docilely, it means finding something to amuse himself with. Cleopatra says, killing time, want the death penalty, I'm busy, I'm only here because the 9th prince's trial was postponed. And Beyond, in response to this, says, are you hearing this? I've known them since they were this small and they were pooping their pants. This is who they really are, Zodiacs. More than indicating Cleopatra is going to do something like break Beyond out, I think the final panel of the scene is showing us, the reader, just how ingrained into Kakin society Beyond's influence is. In the 30 plus years he's been preparing for this expedition, he's sunk his poison into this tree at the root level. Not that the tree was necessarily great to begin with, but what do you mean Beyond has known the highest supreme justice of the entire nation since they were a kid, maybe even babysat them sometimes, and now Cleopatra is, I mean, they're not the sole person in charge of the entire Kakin judicial system, but it's pretty darn close to that, especially since Cleopatra implies they're the one that personally reviewed and made the decisions about Beyond's lawsuits. Essentially, Cleopatra is the main person in charge of reviewing all these legal documents filed by this guy who's probably their dad's old friend. That's obviously a major conflict of interests to us, but to Kakin, I guess it's just a Tuesday. The performance Beyond puts on for Kansai and Sayu in the scene is not a bad segue into our pin from earlier. I want to talk a little bit this week about lie detecting fallibilities. This is one of the trailing threads that's been on my mind since Karapika busted out Dowsing Chain to screen Hunter exam candidates and the Zodiacs in the Dark Continent prep arc. Having two characters who can lie detect in the Succession War arc is lulling us into a false sense of security. I really think so. Neither Karapika nor Melody's abilities screen absolute truth. They only screen perceived truth. If the person being interrogated believes what they themselves is saying at the point in time they say it, that registers as the truth. This is very important. In addition to the ways of evading the lie detector discussed in the DCP arc, such as manipulation type Nen abilities, memory manipulation, and information withholding, and also clever phrasing like what we saw Oito use in her recent dowsing chain interrogation, I want to touch on 2 additional very easy and very human ways lie detectors can be subverted. 1, personal values, and 2, people are not static. They can change their minds. The first, I believe, will be relevant to the Melody Kaiser situation. While it is possible Kaiser is being manipulated, I think it'd be more interesting if he wasn't. Manipulation adds to the characterization of the manipulator at the expense of characterization for the manipulatee. And I like Kaiser's personality. It'd be more fun if that's just who he genuinely is. And by that I mean, yeah, Kaiser loves Melody in the same way he loves justice. If you were to ask Illumi Zoldyck if he loves his younger brother Killua, when he answers in the affirmative, that would not trip the lie detector because Illumi does love Killua. The mistake is assuming his definition of love is the same as our definition of love. The mistake is assuming Illumi loving Killua means he'll treat him well. No, Illumi loving Killua means he'll stab him with a needle and try to kill Aluka because that's love by Illumi's personal values. So when Kaiser says he loves Melody in chapter 400, after seeing both Melody and Fugetsu's powers, and the lie detector registers that as the truth, Melody's mistake is assuming Kaiser means he wants to watch a movie with her and hold hands. No, that's Melody's definition of love. Kaiser means, Melody, your power would be useful as a tool to achieve my beautiful ideal world. Therefore, you are beautiful, and tools are famously meant to be used. Honestly, I even think Kaiser would probably say he loves Steiner too, since Steiner is a figurehead of the Red Tape Agency, which upholds the law by prioritizing civilian safety. I mean, come on, look at how close Kaiser gets to Steiner, even puts his hand on his shoulder. Sir, hello? Cheating on Melody immediately after confessing to her? It's these 2 lines by Kaiser which I think brings us to the heart of his character. He's never been more truthful than when he says, I didn't join the Justice Department to blindly uphold the law. It's to get the world closer to my ideal, gentler world. I can do the dirty work to make that happen, even if I lose the right to join that gentler world. Kaiser's goal is something along the lines of systematic judicial reform, and that's terrifying because he outright states he's willing to compromise his own values if that means he can offer himself up as a stepping stone to achieve that goal. That's absurd amounts of steadfastness in his personal beliefs. No wonder his heartbeat is unshaken. If he's willing to even view himself as a tool to be used for that end goal, if push comes to shove, he'll feel absolutely zero compunction in using Fugetsu and Melody. And if they break, it's a shame, but that's what tools are for, right? As for our second lie detecting fallibility, what was true at point A in time may not be true at point B in time. This will apply to the Zodiac traitor situation. When Kurapika dowsing chained the Zodiacs and found out Sayu was the traitor, I immediately narrowed my eyes because that was way too easy. No shot it goes as smoothly as we'll arrest Sayu before he gets the chance to spring beyond, and that's it. There could always be things like memory manipulation going on, but I think the simplest solution is the best in this situation. When Kurapika doused the Zodiacs and beyond before the voyage began, their assessment was correct. Sayu was the Zodiac traitor, and beyond did not know. But since then, things have changed, and they will change further before the voyage is over. Firstly, Beyond now absolutely knows there is a Zodiac traitor, and he probably knows that it's Sayu. Second, since his manga debut all the way at the beginning, Beyond has been actively working on warming the zodiacs up to him. With his embodiment of Netero, with the way he performs at being a strong leader with good values, at least one more zodiac is going to switch sides before this is over, and my current guess is that it will be Kanzai. Not only is Kanzai locked in a room with the guy radiating 1000% charisma at all times, but he also seemed rather moved by Beyond's introduction speech. Ginta the sheep is probably the lowest hanging second zodiac traitor guess, since he outright says he hopes Beyond and the zodiacs can become buddies, but that's a little too easy for me. I think Beyond sees winning over zodiacs as a bit of a puzzle, and since he loves puzzles, the zodiac he chooses to work on should be slightly more resistant. Also, Beyond has access to influence Kanzai right now, since he's right there in the same room, while the other zodiacs are off on other areas of the ship. Kanzai is a simple guy. He hears Beyond say something like everyone in Kakin should be treated equal. He's gonna take that at face value and think, hey, maybe this dude isn't that bad. In considering which zodiacs should survive the voyage, I decided Kanzai will likely either die or turn traitor, and the first seems a little too easy, Kanzai being the only other zodiac in the room with Beyond, Netero, and Sayu 2 against 1. Obviously they could kill him whenever they want, but nah, psychological victory seems like a goal Beyond would find more fun. If we can only have one zodiac turn traitor and one zodiac die this arc, I'd pick Kanzai for traitor and Botobai for death. That's the dragon zodiac. And that is largely because Botobai is a pillar of stability on the ship and for the zodiacs as a whole. Since the arc is about to erupt into entropy, why not take out a symbol of firm strength and reassurance? Also, with Botobai overseeing judicial proceedings for the Justice Department, which unfortunately makes him an inadvertent symbol of the status quo of Kakin's flawed justice system because he's helping uphold it, the possibility he becomes one of Kaiser's targets as Kaiser strives for reform is not zero. Kaiser manipulating Fugetsu into killing Botobai would be so funny. With Periston, Cheadle, and Botobai being the only confirmed 3-star hunters in the Zodiacs, don't you think it's a little unfair the good guys get 2 out of the 3, while the bad guys only have 1, Periston? Why not level the playing field a little bit, leave both sides with only 1 3-star hunter each? Now, if Togashi is extra nice and allows us 2 Zodiac traitors and 2 Zodiac deaths, my second pick for traitor is Peon Rabbit, as she's also a member of the Hawks, the reformist faction of the Zodiacs along with Sayu, and Periston's entire political platform is reform for the Hunter Association. Since the introduction of the Zodiacs, she's always had a soft spot for Periston, making excuses for him when the others picked on him. If Periston asked Peon to switch sides, I doubt she'd even really care. Additionally, Peon is a paleograph hunter, which is the study of ancient texts, think something like Nico Robin, and Beyond kinda appealed to that in his introduction speech, talking about exploring ancient ruins and learning humanity's past. Our other options for second traitor I considered were Cluck, the rooster, who is the third hawk, and Sacho, horse, who guarded Beyond for 2 months of his imprisonment before the voyage, which is time to potentially get influenced. Though from the election arc we see Sacho, horse, is pretty aligned with Cheadle. Also, Sacho being the third traitor would make all 3 be from the Beyond guard team, and that's a bit boring. We can mix it up a little. Yeah, Peon's my second choice for traitor. For our second Zodiac death, if Togashi really spoils us, I'd pick Gel, Snake. It would be so tasty. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. I think Gel has baddie immunity, as in she's too hot to die. her character design is too unique, it's unlikely Togashi will kill her. So for a more realistic choice, I'd pick Sacho, Horse. Since he's on Beyond's guard rotation with Sayu and Kanzai, if the other two gang up on him, that's nearly certainly curtains. But yeah, that's the chart. 1 traitor, 1 death. My picks are Kanzai and Borubai. 2 traitors, 2 deaths. I'd add Pion and Sacho respectively. Getting back to reviewing Beyond stuff, I want to look at everything we've learned about the Curse Baby so far, which is mainly 2 conversations. Longhe's in 401 and Furakov's in 415. Curse Baby Convos. Beginning with 401 Moonlight, Longhe says, 30 years ago, my father talked some young officers like Kakin, I think that's supposed to say in Kakin, into having sham marriages. There are many others with families like mine. I think this is implying the oldest Curse Baby is around 30, or I guess 30 exactly. That's pretty interesting because I'd assume if age is important for Curse Babies, the oldest Curse Baby would be Benjamin's age, and instead of saying 30 years ago or around 30 years ago, when Beyond talks to Furakov later, he says around 20 years ago, which could just be him rage baiting, but that is a factor to consider. The couples raised the children born between the wives and Beyond as their own and put them in the Royal Military Academy. I think he did this every time a new prince was born. This is kind of where I get the implication that the Curse Babies might be around the same age as their targets. We were set on the path to become royal guards for the princes, and most of us have probably fulfilled this goal. We had Nen since we were born after all, and the academy exam itself wasn't difficult unless there were special circumstances. I stumbled across the secret when I discovered that I didn't inherit a trait I should have from my father. After I found out about the existence of my brothers and sisters, I simply figured my father's purpose was to place his kin into important positions close to the king. Yes, my parents told me when they told me about my real father. My other half-siblings weren't told the details about their birth or about each other. Even though I knew, until the succession battle, I thought of myself merely as a Kakin soldier with unique family circumstances. I lived in boarding schools as far back as I can remember, so I only had a tenuous connection to my parents. Beyond's purpose, of which my parents spoke passionately every time they came to see me, I never particularly questioned, since it aligned with the national cause of world unity under Kakin. But his methods were different. We were used as pawns. As I said, we could use Nen since we were born. Newborns with Nen instinctively learn Ten and Zetsu quickly to prevent fatigue. I was always among the top of my class physically, even without trying. However, that was a side effect of Beyond's Nen attack. Longhe and Furkov both seem to think the curses are a Nen ability, which is pretty interesting, especially if we believe both of them to be right, and it's Beyond's own personal Nen ability. My father placed a curse on us. I found out when my half-sister Makaha became suspicious of her parents. She was supposed to be assigned to Prince Camilla. The second graduating class lost their places when Prince Camilla elevated the have-nots as her personal guards, and she was among them, among the second graduating class. She, Makaha, felt something was wrong when her parents didn't mirror her disappointment. She investigated in secret and discovered me also serving under the second queen. My parents tried to inspire me with Beyond's goal of unifying the world. How can they be so blasé I didn't make the cut? Beyond's goal of unifying the world? This guy really is a supervillain, isn't he? After the seed urn ceremony, we noticed a mark in common between us. We showed it to a renowned exorcist and discovered the truth. 2 points from the statement. 1, Longhe seems to agree the curse set in as soon as the seed urn ceremony occurred, and secondly, her information about the curse comes not from Beyond, but from a third-party exorcist, which after learning what we learned in 415 might make Longhe's information more reliable. He, the exorcist, told us a powerful and sinister Nen possessed us that will activate upon our death. Take a good look with Gyo. He, the exorcist, told me I was a strong curse sacrifice. I was chosen to curse my target to death. There are at least 10 of us who are strong, including me and Makaha. If there are as many or more weak ones who weren't selected, then my father must have prepared a large number of pawns because he couldn't be sure of the final count of princes. Long He's the only one who implies there might be weaker curses. I don't know if this implies they're on the ship and part of the plan, or if Beyond merely made a whole bunch of babies and cherry-picked the ones with the strongest Nen affinity and threw the rest away. Either way, this is interesting because it means not every kid Beyond has amazing Nen promise. Counted for that by making a bunch. That makes sense because they can't all be winners, that's just how genetics works. But that also means there can be Beyond kids who aren't instantly Nen geniuses. Yeah, I'm alluding to Prince Oito theory. I'm always thinking about Prince Oito theory. The bit at the end about how Beyond made so many because he couldn't be sure of the final prince count is a little odd, though. I don't know if it's just the translation or the wording. Long He says Beyond made so many pawns because he couldn't be sure of the final number of princes. So does age matter for curse babies or not? Because if age doesn't matter, that statement makes sense. But if age matters, then why wouldn't Beyond be sure of the final prince count if he's making the curse babies print on demand each time a prince is born, compared to just making a whole bunch all at once when Benjamin was born? Long He goes on to say, "We were assured it wasn't something that could be removed simply by burning off the surface or even cutting it off," talking about the curse mark, a powerful curse the likes of which the exorcist had never seen. If even this renowned exorcist, who might be one of the strongest exorcists in the entire nation of Kakin, couldn't remove it, Kurapika's got his exorcist search cut out for him. This is going to be really tough to find someone who can deal with this. Our bodies were turned into tools of Beyond's plan. Curse sacrifices incarnate on his behalf. We don't know what kind of ability it is or who the targets are, but they are undoubtedly aimed to make sure our targets are cursed to death. Since Beyond didn't make any moves after Makaha failed to join Prince Camilla's entourage, we don't think our targets are simply the princes we were assigned to. That means we may not have needed to be in the entourage or even in the military at all. Even our life goals were used for our father's scheme. Kurapika asks, "So you don't know who your target is, but you're pretty sure it's a prince?" And Long He says yes. "It is only speculation, but I'm sure of it. There are more than 10 strong curse sacrifices and 14 princes. It can't be a coincidence. We don't know who's gonna kill which prince, but Beyond is trying to influence the succession battle." To this, Bill says, if Beyond didn't tell the sacrifices how to activate the curses, that means either Beyond knows how to activate the curse or he's leaving it to fate as a condition that increases its power. My gut feeling about this statement is it's probably a case where both are kind of true. In part, the idea Beyond is going to leave which curse gets activated up to fate is probably half true. I don't think he'll leave it 100% up to fate, but if he's looking to support a specific prince, his own child, there's a possibility he'll let some stuff play out before choosing to activate a curse baby, which will narrow down the competitors. I'll talk about the curse activation a little bit more later. Long He says, "No, I don't think it's Prince Benjamin that Beyond is supporting. My father is well-prepared, cunning, and greedy." This is the first time we've heard Beyond described as greedy. That is a pretty dangerous character trait. Greedy for what exactly? I'm scared to find out. Long He goes on to say, "With this much preparation time, it's inconceivable he would make all this effort for someone unrelated to him. Yes, one of the princes is Beyond's child. That's what I think." She tells Kurapika she wants him to make his decision about the partnership after hearing her true plan. She says, "If my father's child is among the princes as I expect, I will kill them myself." Which could be very dangerous if Beyond has more than one kid and one of those kids is Prince Oito. Long He says, "If only my father had told me everything. Even if my role had been the same, I would have never made this decision," which is a very morally gray thing to say. I think this is fantastic characterization for Long He because it implies the relationship Long He has with Beyond is different to the relationship Furikov has with Beyond because they serve two different purposes. Beyond shaped them into two different pieces. Beyond interacted with Furikov in a way that would make Furikov hate him. But for the 10 strong curses, Longhi included, they have more of an absentee relationship to Beyond. That is my read of what this implies. For Longhi, she wishes Beyond was more in her life. Longhi wishes Beyond would come back from buying the milk. And this was done pretty purposefully because Beyond has 2 different uses for these 2 different children of his. If Beyond molded Furikov into more of a rook, Longhi and her known half-siblings are more bishops or knights. Speaking of Furikov, that brings us to Furikov's conversation with Beyond in chapter 415. This is Beyond's most recent appearance, and it's his conversation with Furikov over the phone that we discussed pretty in-depth last week on a psychological level. This week I want to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and look at it on more of an informational level. I've been highlighting the parts of Beyond's statements I think are lies throughout this examination, and while the previous Beyond scenes have 1 or 2 red bits each, this entire conversation with Furikov is just non-stop BS. The majority of it is red. Furikov begins by saying the face of his target isn't displayed on Fullmetal Alchemist because whoever cast the curse wished to conceal themselves because they're up to no good. There's only one guy who'd pull such a stunt. Imagine being so evil you're the first and only person your own son thinks of when they think of malicious Nen users. When Beyond picks up the phone, he says, "Hello? Oh, I'm quite surprised you noticed. That takes some talent." This is a lie. I think Beyond expected Furikov to notice the curse. Beyond says, "The answer is yes. It's a safeguard to make sure the succession battle goes off without a hitch. Yeah, without a hitch for Beyond. And guide the heir for Kakin's prosperity. The curse placed on you will work in Prince Benjamin's favor." Those 2 statements are both lies. Beyond does not care about Kakin's prosperity, and the curse does not benefit Benjamin in any way. Furikov says, "If you lie, my ability will give you away," and in response, Beyond says, "Heh, then why are you calling me? Let your ability tell you." I think Beyond knew Furikov's ability before this phone call. Furikov says, "If you lie, my ability will give you away." The most reasonable guess from that statement is Furikov has a lie-detecting ability, like dowsing chain, but Beyond instantly jumps to, "Why are you calling me for information? Let your ability tell you," which I see as a jump in logic if he didn't already know what Furikov's ability is. Why would he think a lie-detecting ability equals an information-gathering ability right off the bat? That's not a first guess that you would make. If Beyond knows Benjamin's ability, which is certainly more of a state secret, what are the chances he wouldn't know Furikov's ability? Especially if you think Beyond has a spy in the Marshmallow Men, the chances they pick up implications about another soldier's ability is pretty high. Furikov says, "I wanted to save time and effort, so what kind of curse is it?" Beyond replies, "In a nutshell, it activates when you die. The postmortem Nen will curse a prince to death. I placed it right after you were born. Don't worry, there's no harm until you die." Yes, we should be worried. Furikov says, "So the trigger was that prince participating in the seed urn ritual." Beyond affirms exactly. Which does seem to imply that the seed urn is the setting in condition for the curses. But there is a read that you can take on it, which is that this is true for Furikov and Longhi and her siblings, not necessarily for every curse baby, because if there are other curse setting in conditions, maybe Furikov and Longhi fulfilled them all. So for Furikov, the seed urn ceremony was the final condition for the curse to set in, but that might not necessarily be the case for Wobble. Beyond says, "I know Prince Benjamin's ability, so I'll say this kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Even if you die along the way, you'll take out another prince with you, and Prince Benjamin gets your gifts." The entire middle half of this statement is a lie. If Furikov's target is Benjamin, if he dies, he won't take out another prince with him, he'll take out Ben. Furikov says, if what you say is true, and Beyond laughs in response, which is diabolical. He says, why don't you check with your ability? You won't believe me no matter what I say. I can't tell you the target of the curse or any other details. Wanna interrogate me? It might be true Beyond can't tell the curse babies their targets outright, but he sure manages to imply it's Benjamin here, which pretty much serves the same purpose. And the second statement, that Beyond can't tell Furikov any other details, is an outright lie, because right after this he proceeds to tell him more details about the curse. This man just has absolutely no shame. Beyond says, I'm an Uber VIP after all, go through the king. Since I'm helping to make sure the succession battle goes smoothly, I don't think appealing to the king will go in your favor. After rereading this, if this is implying King Nasubi knows about the curse babies, it could be more support for participant Nasubi theory. If Beyond promised, hey, I'll make sure you win, just let me curse all the other competitors, that would incentivize Nasubi to let Beyond do whatever he wanted in Kakin for 30 plus years. Beyond says he'll ensure Nasubi wins without having to lift a finger. Nasubi would probably think that sounds great. He loves lying around and doing nothing. Beyond says, hey, what's wrong, Earth to Furikov? Did you find out something about my curse? I told you I placed it when you were born. It's been 20 or so years. 20 or so years still kills me. That number is so off. It's kind of horrible. There is no universe in which Prince Benjamin is closer to 20 than he is to 30. So the two options are 1, the curse baby's ages don't matter, or 2, Beyond is just an utter and complete POS. Taking your aura over time, accumulating strength bit by bit, it won't be so easily removed. Furikov says you gave yourself away. A curse that needs that much aura isn't to target a normal person, but a Nen user is my target, Prince Benjamin. I just don't think Beyond let anything slip. I think he wanted Furikov to suspect that his target was Prince Benjamin. Beyond says, you know, I prepared this for the succession battle, right? Once it starts, a Nen beast called the Spirit Guardian Beast, I think that's supposed to say Guardian Spirit Beast, appears to protect each prince. No matter who the target is, the stronger the curse, the better. Well, you wouldn't believe me even if I explained it. So Beyond is essentially saying a strong curse doesn't necessarily mean the target is a Nen user. He wanted strong curses for everyone because everyone will get Guardian Spirit Beasts. This is the sentence Furikov seems to have extrapolated the Beyond's curse kills spirit beasts, even Nen after death ones idea from, and it is an extrapolation. Like, this is not information that he was told or has confirmed in any way, but I do see how he got here from this sentence, and the sheer numbers on Full Metal Alchemist indicate just how powerful the curse probably is. So honestly, this probably is the truth. Like, I would not be surprised at all if Beyond's curse is so strong that it can defeat any Guardian Spirit Beast and even Nen after death powers. After Furikov snaps at him, Beyond says, whoa, aren't you the personal guard of the eldest son of the Kakin kingdom? Are you saying you're dissatisfied at being Benjamin's pawn? Which is such a low blow after he purposefully drove Furikov to anger. He says, I'll cut you some slack for the language in honor of your loyalty, not to mention we're family, but I'll give you a warning. There are many goals in the succession battle, but there's only one path forward: to receive protection from the Guardian Spirit Beast by taking the place of the current king and to ensure the nation's prosperity. Kill all the princes besides Prince Benjamin before the Black Whale arrives at the new continent and select the sole heir. That's the rule. I admit this scenario is best for my continued relations with Kakin. I respect Prince Benjamin and his men for not participating in the Carne Lavare, you know. I thought about this a little more after last week, and I decided if Beyond does respect Benjamin at all, it is not because he abstained from the carnivals. In fact, I'd say Beyond probably respects Benjamin as much as you would respect a 300-piece jigsaw puzzle, which is to say, it's better than nothing. Beyond says, this is making me want to talk too much, so I'm hanging up now, bye. Oh, I suggest you make effective use of my curse for your Prince Benjamin. signing off by telling his own son to make effective use of the curse which only activates when Furikov dies. So to make use of the curse, what does Furikov have to do? Beyond, you absolute scum. Aside from the fact Beyond is an asshole, what did we learn about the curse from this conversation? Essentially nothing new that we didn't already know from Long He, apart from the fact curse babies likely deal with guardian spirit beasts too, even then after death ones, though it was nice to get confirmation on some of the details Long He shared. With that, actually, let's revisit Furikov's conversation with Benjamin in 413, where he revealed his curse. Ben says, Furikov, you acquired TSK-17 through the First Queen and betrayed me in favor of my brother. By the way, with 3 vials of TSK that Benjamin brought on board plus the 1 vial brought by Unma, assuming there are no additional vials, that makes for 4 doses of TSK in total. 1 has been used on Halkenberg's body, 1 has been used on Benjamin, and the other on Camilla. That means that there's only 1 more vial of TSK-17 which has not yet been dispensed. If Benjamin isn't going to use it on Saraynik, we're going to have to keep that in the back of our mind as a potential plot point. Furikov says, my plan was to capitalize on your mother, First Queen Unma's plot to secure victory for Prince Halkenberg and also use the machinations of my father Beyond Netero against him. This is the curse that activates upon my death. It was planted by Beyond and is nigh impossible to remove. The Queen threatened that Beyond could cause my death at any time, and I was left with no choice. What I feared most was not that you could be my target, oh Furikov, but that your death by the curse could eradicate your guardian spirit beast's ability. The only way to avoid this was to bounce the curse back, and Benjamin extrapolates from that statement, if I die first, the curse reflects back to you. So this conversation gives us 2 interesting points about curse babies that we have not seen anywhere else. The first is the idea Beyond can remote detonate the curses. This concept seems to come from Queen Unma, and while it wouldn't be a stretch to imagine Beyond can snap his fingers from his jail cell and instantly trigger a curse baby's death, it is his ability after all. I'm not sure it would quite work the way Unma is posing that it does. Rather than snap, it'd probably be more like Beyond can order someone to go kill the curse baby. Maybe he has like a sniper on his expedition team after all the conditions are fulfilled, which would activate the curse. And since only Beyond knows what the curse activation conditions actually are, it's almost the same thing. The threat is if Beyond wanted to, he can activate Furikov's curse, and that part of it at least is true. And that's kind of why Furikov couldn't risk it. There's nothing stopping Beyond from activating it now after Benjamin has declared martial law, if martial law was Beyond's goal from threatening Furikov in the first place. So Furikov's entire set of actions in response to receiving Unma's threat probably should have been thought out a little bit more before he went through with it. Furikov also introduces us to the idea in 413 that if the target dies first, so if the prince dies first, the curse rebounds and kills the curse baby. This is the first time we're hearing this statement about the curse babies, and my question really is, where did he get this information? Because Beyond didn't tell him, so Furikov did not get it from Beyond, and it probably did not come from Full Metal Alchemist since it hasn't been 100 days since the Seed Urn ceremony. So that means his ability wouldn't have had time to analyze this curse completely yet. I don't know if it gives results as it analyzes, it gives you a little bit of information at a time, or if it has to finish analyzing completely before it gives you any information. We don't really know that, but I'm gonna need Furikov to cite his sources, please. The curse rebound idea is one I've considered before as a theorist. Like, it's definitely something I've thought about, but Furikov seems to be acting as if it's fact, as if it just straight up is the truth, and I don't know how he could have possibly confirmed this idea. Is this actually true, or does Furikov just need it to be true? How messed up would it be if this actually is not true? That if the target dies first, nothing happens to the curse baby and their curse just dissipates. That would be so messed up. But comparing the bullet points from each conversation gives us roughly something like this. The cursed baby information only Longhi tells us is on the right, Furkov only information is on the left, and the facts they both believe to be true is in the center. Don't worry, I'll read it out loud. Longhi's information comes from her family and a powerful Nen exorcist. So what Longhi tells us about the cursed babies is, many cursed babies are/were in the royal army. Cursed babies have had Nen since birth. Cursed babies don't know the exact effects of the curse. There are at least 10 strong cursed babies, Longhi and Makaha included in that number, though Furkov I don't believe is included in that number as Longhi does not know him. That there are just as many weak curses as strong curses, if not more. Cursed babies don't need to be in their target's guard or in the military. At least one of the princes is Beyond's biological child, and that's the one he's supporting. The first cursed baby was made 30 years ago. Cursed babies are likely the same age as their princes, as curses were made each time a prince was born, and Beyond might be leaving which curses activate to fate. The things they both think are true: the curse activates upon the cursed baby's death. It is a Nen after death ability. It's a powerful curse which is nearly impossible to exorcise. Even a renowned Kakin exorcist could not do it. Cursed babies don't know who their targets are. The cursed targets are princes. Beyond is trying to influence the succession battle's outcome. The curses were placed at birth. The curse is from Beyond's Nen ability, which is a Nen ability, which is why Full Metal Alchemist could analyze it. The curse set in after the seed urn ceremony. And then from the information we get from only Furkov, and just remember Furkov's information comes from Beyond/Unma, which means that it is quite suspect. That information is, the curses gathered strength over time, which implies the curses may vary in strength. We don't know if this is true. The curses deal with guardian spirit beasts too, and Nen after death ones. Beyond can't tell the cursed babies their targets, but can imply it. This might be true, this might be false. Either way, I don't think it matters that much. If he can imply it, it pretty much gives the same effects. Beyond can remote detonate the babies, or so Unma says. I don't know if this one's true either. If the target dies first, the curse is rebounded and kills the cursed babies. I think the chances of that being true are 50-50. One of my biggest takeaways from the entire Beyond Curse situation so far is just how chillingly well Beyond played this mini game against Benjamin. The puzzle was, how do you defeat this super strong army leader with a platoon of highly loyal men? And the solution Beyond came up with was to have the attack come from the inside, to weaponize his boys against him. Diabolical. When we see Furkov's room in 415, it's so bare bones, no traces of his hobbies or personality. You really get the sense Furkov lives for Kakin, for Benjamin, for this purpose of serving the nation as a soldier. He doesn't have anything else, any other support system, which is why a threat targeted at Benjamin backs him into a corner and makes him so desperate. Whereas Longhi was able to converse and share information with Makaha and her other half-siblings and bear the pain of being a cursed baby as a group, Furkov seems to not know there are any other cursed babies. He didn't know Longhi was a cursed baby. Hell, he thought Longhi was silent majority for a hot minute. And because Furkov thinks the curse is unique to himself, he shoulders this struggle alone, which contributes to how helpless he feels when Unma threatens him on board the ship. I guess the moral of the story, don't suffer alone. Tell your mom friend, get another perspective, get some support. And yes, I do fully believe Balsamilko could have come up with a plan. If Balsamilko has 0 glazers, I'm dead. Which is why it's gonna hurt like the dickens when Shogi and Blackjack here burst into 1009 and kill him. I just have one question for Togashi. Why does Yushohi need invincibility frames for this battle? Is the room packed floor to ceiling with lit dynamite or something? Whatever they encounter in that room is going to be very, Very bad. Anyways, here's the updated Curse Baby to target prediction chart. As of this chapter, I've made a couple changes since last time after remembering Makaha, realizing Long He would probably be around the same age as Halkenberg, and deciding I do want Wobble to be cursed after all. On the left-hand side is the prince, on the right hand my best guess at their Curse Baby. The dark red means I think the Beyond Curse will be relevant, while the light red thread means the curse might not be relevant as a plot point for that prince. I am giving Wobble a Curse Baby after all, even though I do still question whether Wobble has a Guardian Spirit Beast if she's not on the ship, because it'd be fun if Wobble got the Beyond Curse while Phobal gets the Have Not Curse. That way everyone gets some love, you know? Speaking of the Have Not Curse, let's look back at what we know about it so far as a refresher. Curse v. Curse Powerscaling. Chapter 389 is our introduction to Camilla's Have-Nots, and it does seem the Have-Nots chose to become curses for Camilla out of their own volition after she made efforts to dissolve the career limitations of their caste system, which is a characterization point for Cami Bear. When Sarah Hell says, Second Prince Camilla gave us a choice when we weren't even human, yeah, the Have-Nots are also deeply loyal. So what we know about the Have-Not Curse, each prince has a Have-Not dedicated to cursing them. The Have-Not Curse Hell Fruit seems to be a shared ability unique to the group and is also a curse which activates after the user's death. Now 389 says the ideal was to commit suicide in the target's presence, and as the chapter goes on to outline the conditions for the curse, on the day of the deed, burn the object, drink the infusion of the ashes, then commit suicide with the dagger to activate the curse. This implies Sarah Hell would not necessarily have to be face to face with Phobal to activate the curse. Offing herself in front of Phobal would cast the strongest form of the curse, but it seems the Have-Nots don't have to be up close to the target necessarily, which is very dangerous. We also know the effect of the Have-Not Curse is to deprive the target of aura, which, when it's in the most powerful form, the action committed right in front of the prince, the curse enforces Zetsu and kills the target in a few hours. From what Sarah Hell says, she wanted the curse on Phobal to weaken him over the course of a few days, as her goal is to try and flush out any possible Hunter Association Nen exorcists. Phobal is an infant with no Guardian Spirit Beast and limited aura. Who knows if Phobal would even last a couple of hours. If Sarah Hell manages to get this curse off on him, it will be very bad. The question in Benjamin's case is, does the Have-Not Curse nullify Guardian Spirit Beast / Nen After Death abilities? Sarah Hell does mention Guardian Spirit Beast when talking about the curse. She says, the risk of failure is too high to attempt to curse a higher ranked prince while the Guardian Spirit Beast's abilities are unknown, which makes it seem like maybe Hellfruit doesn't nullify GSB abilities, but reading that in context with the following comments by Granny gives us a slightly different impression. She says, the royals are protected by noble guardian spirit beasts. Impertinent curses sent from the safety of our own territory will be obliterated with one sharp look. The only thing we have-nots have to surpass the royals to have a chance at crossing swords with high-ranked powerful guardian spirit beasts is our determination. I think what Sarah Hell and Granny Fukutaki are discussing here is the casting of the curse, not the effects after it is cast. They're worried the Spirit Beast might block Hellfruit if it's cast from far away, which is why Sarah Hell resolves to enroll in the Nen class and get closer to Phobal. It is possible some Guardian Spirit Beasts might cause the curse to fail, or the Have-Not Curse is not strong enough to nullify Guardian Spirit Beasts at all, or not strong enough to deal with just the Nen After Death beasts, but we don't know that for sure. And since Benjamin knows even less than us, letting himself get cursed is crazy risky since his entire plan hinges on Nen After Death. It's possible the Have-Not Curse can't nullify his guardian spirit beast, but it's also possible that it can, and that's not really a risk that he can take right now. Also, enforced Zetsu, that's really bad. That means no bromance baton for Benjamin going forward, potentially. Also, I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, did Benjamin really not know about the have-nots at all? I can't imagine Camilla building an entire village next to her mansion would be particularly discreet. And in the chapter we're introduced to the have-not curse, Sarah Hill implies every have-not has the hell fruit ability, not just those who are loyal to Camilla, because she says it's not out of the question Halkenberg has a have-not loyal to him. So that kind of sounds like a national security risk that this entire cast of people have the ability to curse royals to death. I feel like Benjamin should kind of know about that ideally. Speaking of Benjamin's cursing though, I'd picked this topic to compare the two different curses in this arc, Camilla's have-nots versus Beyond's curse babies, a couple days ago, and I was planning on talking about how including both in the arc was probably intended to contrast Beyond's curse with a weaker curse to show just how absolutely overpowered Beyond's curse is. But then in this chapter, Mozwana activated her have-not curse and it looks horrible. It looks so bad. Like the way it's drawn and shaded with the gaping, screaming face and the irises. Holy mackerel. Just looking at that page where it kind of seeps into Benjamin's skin feels like having ice dumped down your shirt. Togashi's art in this arc has been nothing short of excellent. His horror imagery is so good. I love it every single time. Benjamin, you beautiful doomed buffoon. Someone give Ben a Hershey's bar because even government dogs deserve to taste chocolate before they're put down. If that's what the weaker of the two curses looks like, no, I don't want to even see the have-not curse activate on Phobal, and we cannot afford at all to let the curse baby curse activate on Wobble. Side note, what color uniforms do you think the have-nots wear? It is a mid-range value, and I just don't believe Camilla would necessarily be down for the normal puke green color of army uniforms, so if I had to pitch a guess, I'm feeling a sort of slate blue, a kind of mid-range grayish blue color. The undertones would bring out Camilla's eyes and really make her pop in contrast when she stands next to them. Anyways, if that's what a 10-year-old curse cast by a jobber looks like, what do you think a Beyond curse which has aged for over 20 years is gonna do? 2 times as bad minimum from the age of the curse alone? What's 2 times as bad as having holes gouged out of your irises? The more I think about the curse babies being one of Beyond's Nen abilities, actually, the more I want to start adding BS to how it works. Why should a curse baby activation be straightforward when instead it could be a source of amusement in itself? If Bill is correct that leaving an element of chance increases the power of the curse, and Furikov is wrong and the curse doesn't rebound when the target dies first, we could be looking at some concept like, after setting all of this up, this entire 10 plus strong curse baby system, and very carefully balancing it over all these years, Beyond can only activate a certain number of the curse babies. As in, perhaps the activation system is a bit like a hallway of locked doors. Beyond has a certain number of keys, and it's not enough keys to open every door, so he has to pick the specific doors he wants to unlock. And the doors that are left locked do nothing, which would perhaps strengthen the doors that are unlocked. Adding a further level of complexity to it, I want to factor in the element of chance, as in perhaps the curse babies themselves are a form of reverse worm toxin ceremony. By that I mean, with each prince that dies before their curse baby, that's one less curse, making the remaining curses stronger. In the key system example, this is the equivalent of the doors taking more keys to unlock the longer Beyond waits. In the beginning, when there are 14 princes, Beyond has 5 keys or so, and each door only takes 1 key to unlock to activate the weaker curse. But as princes die and the curses become stronger, each door may take 2 or 3 keys to activate, meaning Beyond will be able to open less doors, but the curses behind each door will be more powerful. And if he waits long enough near the end of the game, he might only have enough keys to unlock 1 door if that door costs all 5 keys. So part of the power comes from this entire setup, having 10 plus kids, raising them and shaping them into the royal army, making sure all the curses set in, to only have the ability to activate it once. The power of that one curse would be ridiculous on an entirely different level. And the keys don't necessarily have to be given to Beyond right off the bat either. Perhaps he needs to earn them by fulfilling conditions his ability stipulates. A bit like completing side quests to earn keys, so the longer he waits, the more powerful the curse, and the more difficult the side quests or activation conditions are. If you catch my drift, I'm trying to add a game aspect to Beyond's Nen abilities, since Nen abilities reflect their users and Beyond is said to love puzzles. A Nen ability he has to play against. That sounds kind of fun. Placeholder Nen ability name for this guess, maybe DM Daddy, Director de Juego. DM standing of course for Dungeon Master. That part's a joke. I am serious about the second part though, which translates to Game Director in Spanish. Around the World in 80 Days, Director de Juego is my placeholder name for Beyond's Cursing Nen ability, and I would not be surprised at all if he has multiple abilities. Obviously horrible news for whichever prince gets their curse baby activated. They're pretty much dead meat. It'd be interesting if the Beyond curse wasn't just straightforward death though, if it did something more like suck out the Nen of the target prince and transfers either their Nen juice or ability to Beyond as part of its effect, since we don't know exactly what Beyond's curse does. Bullies and toxic parents are known to take credit for others' achievements, so I wouldn't say that this is necessarily out of the question as an effect of his curse. If the effect is something along these lines, that would mean Beyond would want to activate the curse on whichever prince develops an interesting Nen ability, incentivizing him to wait longer and challenge the harder activation conditions. Beyond conducting his own miniature reverse worm toxin ceremony parallel to Nasibi's with his own kids too would be hilarious and also disturbing. In Nasibi's worm toxin ceremony, all the losers die and the victor survives, but in Beyond's game, in contrast, all the losing, quotation marks, curse babies survive, and the victor, the chosen curse baby, dies alongside their target prince. Does Beyond need Grimmel dissonance? No, absolutely not. But would that be terrifying? Verily, verily so. That's all to say, maybe for Beyond, the curse baby activation process itself could be fun as well. Even the method by which he toys with people's lives can be a toy in itself. To wrap up for this week, after combing through the manga, what Beyond scraps have we gathered? From Netero, we get that Beyond works for Umbrella Corp, ignores expert advice in favor of doing things his own way, might be well suited to challenge the Dark Continent's type of danger. From Cheetle, the leader of the Zodiacs, we get that Beyond is sly, and he won't hesitate to cheat. From Long Hee, we get that Beyond is well prepared, cunning, and greedy. From Bill, we get that Beyond is capable, confident, and loves strategy games and challenges. And from Furikov, we get that Beyond is a scumbag, mixes truth with lies, and cannot be taken at face value. And lastly, perhaps most importantly, from Beyond himself, from his 2 lines of internal monologue, we get that this man is extremely patient. He'll wait, as long as it takes. Beyond is not only a powerful Nen user, able to place multiple curses against their host's will to a level even a renowned Kakin exorcist couldn't remove, but he's also powerful on an intellectual and charismatic level, able to bend people to his will without using force. Whatever Beyond is planning with the ship and the Succession War, he's been setting it up for more than 30 years. The difficulty level is A for any mission to subvert his will in any way whatsoever. He set up this entire super complex, super desperate, multi-decade spanning situation with the Curse Babies, and it's all just a side quest to him on the route to his main goal, the Dark Continent. Even if this little game he's playing on the side is somehow foiled, which is going to be very difficult to do, this man essentially has no loss conditions. As long as he makes it to the Dark Continent, he's getting what he wants. Beyond is an extremely dangerous foe. After all that, the million Jenny question is, do you think Beyond believes in the equality between royals and the people which he preaches? When he says that kind of stuff, do you think that's what he himself believes? My read is yes, he does believe it. Just when Beyond says equality, he means women should get drafted for wars equality. Hell, he means babies should get drafted for wars. He means babies should be used as human landmines equality. That's not a moral failing in his system of beliefs, which is the furthest extreme of equality for all. His beliefs set his own life equal to any life in the world to not very valuable at all. Beyond does not believe in the inherent sanctity of life. He doesn't place value on the miracle of being alive in this world alone. In the same way, Hisoka doesn't place value on age in his belief system. To Hisoka, age is just a number. To Hisoka, there is nothing wrong with fighting Gon. To Beyond, there is nothing wrong with creating more than 10 cursed children for the express purpose of throwing them into the meat grinder. These characters run on different systems of morality than the general public. Therefore, their actions and motivations are not constrained to what we would consider acceptable. I think that is pretty important to keep in mind going forward. Anytime Beyond talks, we should ask ourselves, is he performing? For who? And for what purpose? That's our thread through the labyrinth of lies. That's my read of Beyond's character after our review and as of this chapter, but of course that's just a theory, a Hunter x Hunter theory. I will see you next week.